we are going to look at what is going to be the most important of the polynomial operations that we are going to do. You are going to need to practice this. You're going to need to practice this a lot. I'm going to suggest you don't skip any practice. You don't skip the Google form. You don't skip anything on this. You need to do this until you are very, very comfortable with it, and until what will hopefully happen is you can do some of it in your head and not have to write all of it down. But this that we're going to do right now is very, very important. It's going to come back up in a week or so when we start reversing all this multiplication and we start factoring, okay? So this is multiplying two binomials. So I have a binomial here that has two terms. I have a binomial here that has two terms, and I'm multiplying them together. So this parentheses times this set of parentheses. I'm going to show you two different ways. Some of you will like one way, some of you will like the other. You can do what you want most of the time unless you're told to do it a specific way. But when I'm going to show you the two ways, and then you can decide what you like best, okay? The box method is going to be sort of like how you have learned how to do some multiplication with the area model, okay? So we're going to draw a box, and that box is going to have four parts, okay? And we're going to take the first binomial, and we're going to write it across the top, x plus 2. Notice I kept the sign of the 2 with it so I don't lose that sign. And then the second binomial, we're going to write along the bottom, x plus 4. And I keep that sign with the 4 so I don't lose that sign. Now we're going to multiply. So this box right here has a side of x and a side of x. So the area of this box is x times x, and x times x is x squared, right? So for the second box, I'm going to do x times a positive 2. It has a side of x and a side of positive 2. So x times 2 is 2x. I'm going to do it again on this third box that has a side of 4 and a side of x from right here. So 4 times x is 4x. And then my last box has a side of 4 and a side of 2. So 4 times 2, that gives me 8. Okay? So I look at this, and I could have written that this was a positive 2x and this was a positive 4x. That would not be a bad idea either. And I look, and I'm basically now looking for like terms. Well, I have an x squared. It does not have anything that combines with it. I have a positive 4x and a positive 2x, so that gives me plus 6x. And then I have this positive 8 that does not have any like terms. So when I multiply x plus 2 times the quantity x plus 4, when I multiply two binomials, I get a trinomial, x squared plus 6x plus 8. All right, let's try it again. This time I have the binomial x minus 1 times the binomial 5x minus 4. I'm going to draw my box. My box will have four parts. I'll write x and then minus 1 across the top. That's from the first binomial. And then I'll write 5x minus 4 across the side. That's from the second binomial. And then I look at the boxes, and I look at what parts they go with. So 5x times x is 5x squared. And then this box goes with 5x and negative 1. So 5x times negative 1 is negative 5x. This box right here is negative 4 times x. So that's negative 4x. And then my last box right here is negative 4 times negative 1. That is a positive 4. So from here, I look and see if I have any like terms. The 5x squared does not match with anything. I have a negative 4x and a negative 5x. When I put those together, I get a negative 9x and then plus 4 at the end. Notice that when I multiply two binomials, I get a trinomial, okay? Most of the time, not always. Also notice I write the squared term first, that's called the quadratic term, then the term with the exponent of 1, that's called the linear term, and then the constant last. So x squared, x, and then the constant. Okay, let's do 2 more like this. If you want to pause the video and draw the boxes and try it yourself, that would be awesome. If you want to follow along and see it done again, you can do that. So draw a box, split it into 4 parts. X minus 1 goes along the top. X plus 8 goes along the bottom. Now we're going to do our multiplication. So this box is x times x. That's going to be x squared. This box is x times negative 1. So that is negative 1x, or you could just write negative x. That would be fine. This box here is 8 times x. So that's going to be a positive 8x. And then my last box is 8 times negative 1. That's going to be negative 8. I look for like terms. I have a squared term that I'm going to write by itself. My 2 like terms are right here in the middle. 8x plus a negative, or 8x minus 1x, I could say, is 7x, and then minus 8. Notice the way I write it, from the squared term to the term with an exponent of 1 to the constant. One more with box method. You can pause and try it by yourself, or you can work it along with me. So I draw my box. I have m plus 3, and then m minus 7. I look at each of my 4 boxes. M times m is m squared. M times 3 is a positive 3m. Negative 7 times m is negative 7m. And negative 7 times a positive 3 is negative 21. So I write my squared term first. Then I notice that my negative 7m plus 3m is negative 4m, and then minus 21. Notice that the product of the 2 binomials gave me a trinomial. The second method that we're going to use is to distribute twice. Okay, this will be a lot like what we did when we distributed a monomial in the previous lesson. The important thing to know is you're going to get the same answer with either method. So if you like the distributing method, you can use it. If you like the box method, you can use that. So let's see what it looks like when we distribute twice. All right, so here's what we do. First thing we're going to do is distribute the y. So y times y is y squared, and y times 1 is 1y, or just y. I'd be fine with that. Then we're going to distribute the 5y, the 5, just the 5. So 5 times y is 5y, and 5 times 1 is 5. Notice we get the squared term, we get the 2 like terms, and we get the constant, just like we did with the box. You're going to get the same answer regardless of the method you choose. So when I clean this up, I have y squared, 1y plus 5y is 6y plus 5. So the 2 binomials, when I multiplied, gave me a trinomial. All right, let's do it again. First thing we're going to do is distribute the 4x. 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times a negative 3 is negative 12x. So I distributed the 4x. Now I'm going to distribute the negative 7. Don't lose your signs. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. Now I'm going to look for like terms. Typically there will be the 2 in the middle that will be like terms. So I get 4x squared. Negative 12x minus 7x is negative 19x plus 21. So I got the trinomial after multiplying 2 binomials. Here are 2 more. You can pause the video and try them by yourself and see if you understand, or you can work them along with me. So I'm going to distribute this 8h. So 8h times 3h is 24h squared. 8h times 1 is just 8h. Then I'm going to distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times 3h is negative 9h, and negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. I'm going to clean it up and combine my like terms. I get 24h squared plus 8h and a negative 9h, plus 8h and a negative 9h is negative 1h, or just minus h, and then minus 3. All right, one more. Notice this one has x's and y's. This sometimes messes people up. It's not a big deal. Just make sure you write everything in the same order and make sure you pay attention to what you're multiplying by. So I'm going to distribute the 4x first. 4x times 7x is 28x squared. 4x times a negative 2y is going to be negative 8xy. Typically, we will write that in alphabetical order. Then I'm going to distribute the y. Y times 7x is going to be a positive 7xy. Notice I just wrote it in alphabetical order. Y times x and x times y are the same thing by the commutative property, but if I do it all the same way, then I'll recognize my like terms. Y times a negative 2y is going to be negative 2y squared. Now, our like terms look a little different this time, but it's the same idea. I have 28x squared, and then I have a negative 8xy and a positive 7xy. That would be negative 1xy, but I'm not going to write the 1. If you do, it's not wrong. You just don't have to. And then the negative 2y squared. So notice on this one, I have x squared, x, no x, and then no y, y, and y squared. So the two variables are sort of going in the opposite direction as far as their exponents go. All right, let's do this little pseudo word problem. I say pseudo because it's written in words, but it's really not anything outlandish. It's pretty straightforward. I have a rectangle, so I want to draw that rectangle. The length is k plus 4, and the width is 3k plus 2. And it says, what's the area? Well, how do you find the area of a rectangle? You multiply length and width, right? So 3k plus 2 times k plus 4. So guess what? It's exactly what we've been doing the whole time, okay? So I'm going to distribute the 3k. 3k times k is 3k squared. 3k times 4 is 12k. I'm going to distribute the 2. 2 times k is 2k. 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to look for my like terms. I have 3k squared. 12k plus 2k is a positive 14k, and plus 8. All right, I have changed my mind on this particular thing, and we're not going to worry about this right now. So I'm going to X this out. If you have printed out the notes, you can cross that out. We are not going to do these at this time. I want you to focus on being able to multiply the two binomials, and we're not going to get real tricky with it, okay? So you are ready to do some practice, and I will see you in class.